to another provider. We're not saying, oh, Roger, get 15 acre feet, and maybe Wimberley Partners wants it, and they'll buy 5 acre feet. That's not what I want to do. But I do think allocating the water to people that are already here is the smartest way to manage this water. Because if you don't, they're going to say, I'm glad you're taking 10, but I bought 25 acres, and I want 30 acre feet. Roger didn't take it, I'll take it. And then Roger's going to come back 8 years later and say, I'm built out now. We don't have 5 more acres, I'm sorry. Lots that you had on the ground in 1980, it's too late. So and we're arguing over something so trivial. I called Blanco. They give 3-year permits. He was amazed when I told him people are upset over, he said 15 acres, they're upset over 15 acre feet. Yes, which is fine, it's okay, that's everybody's right to be upset. That's everybody's right to come complain. In the scheme of things, 15 acre feet, from 10 to 15, if he doesn't use it, what's wrong with that? What's wrong if he has it? What's the argument? He has it, he's not using it. Isn't that a good thing? I mean, or would you rather someone else be standing there who says, I'm going to build 50 houses as soon as you give me this water. We're going to start cutting roads in. As soon as a man called me, I have 800 acres and I want 300 acre feet on my land. I said, dude, you're crazy. It never pass right now. But it's my land and I want it. Well, come to the board, good luck. But then you have someone like Roger who comes, who wants 5 acre feet, and it's like you'd think he had asked to take all the remaining water in the county. And he wants it, he's going to turn the taps on tomorrow and waste it. That's why I feel the 3-year permit makes more sense. When I'm gone off this board, the next board doesn't immediately 1-year permit. We don't even do anything with them. If it's 1 year, it's administratively complete. If you don't ask for any more, we just sign it. We just say, oh, here's your next year. It's a government push the paper game. But it is everybody's right to argue. It's everybody's right to do contested cases. And that's what everybody wants to do. I think that's more than their fair right.
And one more point, Roger. No matter what we approve for you, you can only get it from the ground. We're not guaranteeing you water.
We're not guaranteeing any water.
Right. I mean, if your well blows up tomorrow, there's no water. It's not. You're not going to look at us and say, hey, y'all promised me 15 acre feet.
Just like the city of Llano said, when the Llano River dries up, they got to figure a way they're either going to drill a groundwater well and get it out of the ground, or they're going to truck water in. And that's not the groundwater district's problem there, but they're going to have to do something to get water to those citizens. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be an issue.
Roger, I applaud your management of your water system. It's good. However, I haven't really heard any justifiable reason for the 5 acre increase. And there were a lot of ifs in your statements. You know, if you plan to add more oak trees, or if you do some fruit trees. And even those are not considerations for the board. Our job is to manage the groundwater in the district, and we need to do so on a consistent and fair and equitable basis. If that does not suit your needs at this time, I understand that. But the rules and the regulations that we have right now are the ones that we have to go by. But unfortunately, a board can start setting precedents, and then that can be something that is hard to work against. Your fair allocation for sustainable yield, I think, is a good idea. It would be very difficult to get anything like that passed across any groundwater district, much less the state, but I think it is a novel idea. And as we are, allowing for yours, what are we to do with other permits who are using more per household? deny their permit because we want them to come down. I mean, that would be good under the fair allocation, but that's not a rule and that's not a guideline that we go by now. So we have some contested cases or motions before us now. I'm sure the board will make a motion to permit you in the interim. I would hope that it would be for you to continue under your 1-year permit at your given permit until the contested cases are resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
No, wait, we're still not done.
Oh, sorry.
Y'all may want to be done, we're not done. You have anything?
Oh, I was wondering about the number of people per household. Do you have any idea of what your average household?
About 3 to 4. I've got two individuals, two's just the one person.
These people don't pay. Teenage sons. Sir, I don't see how they get by on that much water.
It's actually less because part of that allocation goes to the community pool. When the community was created, we decided that the community pool would be the most efficient way
To bathe.
But I would like to, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Address Rick's point. For me, doing it every 3 years to every 1 year, it's just better. It's just less administration. And I'm happy to come in and meet with Rick every year. I've had to renew it 3 times now, I think. Nothing's changed. And every quarter, when I send in my pumpage reports, if there was one more LUE brought online, then it would be seen, and you would get the fees if the fees were applicable. And so there is a way of keeping pace. And as for Joanne, your point of just giving us 11 as opposed to 50, I don't think that's really why I'm here. I'm here because I feel that we shouldn't be discriminated against in this way, and we shouldn't be punished for our conservation modality. And on that head, I would like to ask you, can you give me a justifiable reason why I should only be given a smaller amount than is a lot less than some of the other people on the agenda here today are going to get? So why is it that I should only be given a small amount? What is your justification for that?
I'm not saying you should be given a small amount. I'm saying I don't see a justification for increasing your permit from 10 to 15.
Well, the reason was I was originally requested a larger amount and was beaten down because of task board members who just didn't feel that we were worthy enough to be given a larger allocation. And it was inequitable from the start. And so I would like to stick with this. I mean, however it falls out, it falls out.
I have a question for Linda K. Rogers. Did you want to contest this one or not?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, explain to me what that means.
Okay.
I want to know what contesting means.
What is going to happen? Next week or the week after, we're going to have a hearing, a preliminary hearing, to see if you have standing, those that want to contest. They'll come in front of the board and explain to us why they think they have standing to contest his permit. If you're found to have standing, then it'll be up to the board to decide whether they want to handle the contested case in-house, ourselves handle it, or if we let an administrative judge handle it. If an administrative judge handles it, or the board, that's where the cost comes in. We would be out of it. You would have to share the cost for the fight, or for the hearing examiner to hear it. You'll share the cost proportionally. The way I understand it, when he is done, or she, they will in turn give us a report back to the board, And the report could say, after hearing all the facts, I think they need 20 acre feet, I think they need 1 acre foot. Then the board will look at that and go, I think the 1 acre foot was too low, I want to give them, I make a motion to give them 30 acre feet. Then the board could vote on that. So even though the hearing examiner tells the board, says to the board it should only be 20 acre feet, we could come back, the board could come back and say, no, I want 15, I think they should have 15 acre feet. But there is going to be expense involved. I think we're out of it. We get out of it, and the applicant and whoever's contesting it share the cost for just the hearing examiner, not your attorneys and your experts or whatever you need. And I may not be 100% correct how I'm saying it, we haven't ever done one before, but our lawyer told us that that's pretty much what happens. The previous board, at one time, had said, if you contest it, you pay all of the cost. But I think, I'm not sure yet, but I think the board would end up doing 50-50. I don't know, there may be a motion that whoever contests it would do 100% of the cost. So that's just, I want to make sure everybody understands that. And the hearing examiner could either be in Austin, depends on who we would pick. If we pick one, it could be Austin, San Antonio, wherever, San Marcos.
I'll stand pat as I am.
So you're fine where you're, okay. And that's just a discussion. Okay.
I want to make one last comment about Rogers deal. One exempt well can legally pump 28 acre feet per year. One exempt well. I mean, the man's asking for 15 acre feet. It's about a day's pumpage out of Jacob's well, if you want to think it that way. Several months
Can I
ago.
make a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Based on our rules, 5.5, permit actions by the board, section G, 3-4 sentences down, okay? If the board determines a contested case hearing is required, which appears based on those little pieces of paper he just got, the board shall declare the application contested and may do 2 things: appointing hearings examiner to conduct a hearing, and 2, approve a temporary permit to authorize groundwater withdrawals while the hearing is being conducted. I make a motion for a 3-year temporary permit at 15 acre feet for radius. That's my
So
motion.
can we just,
Hold,
Can I do that?
I'm not sure if you can. I'm not sure that.
You want me to?
Yes, yeah, ask a question, it's fine.
I understand it, but I'm not sure if it's proper, I'm going to ask.
There's a motion on the floor, but I'm giving you permission to ask a question.
Okay. Before someone can request something to be contested, they have to have standing, and I think
Right.
you haven't determined that yet. That's what I understood they're
That's-
going to do at the next hearing.
Right, that's what's going, that's why we're fixing to discuss this amongst ourselves in this motion. We can't,
I cannot. Okay.
right now, we have to first make a motion to have a hearing
Okay.
to
All right.
decide if they have standing. Once they have standing, then we have to decide
Whether it's temporary.
temporary or
Okay.
whatever you want to
I
do.
remove that motion from the floor. I put a new motion on board, or on the floor, that we approve a 3-year permit for 15 acre feet of radius water supplies.
If you get a second, you can try it, but I don't know if you can get that.
3-year permit, what's their temporary permit?
Does anybody want to second that motion?
I want,
Here's where these rules trip us up again.
I mean, I don't understand, I'm not getting this. I thought, the way I read it right here is, Roger's permit's about to expire. He has to have a temporary permit or something, or what, so, because it might not be until next month, we'll meet on this next meeting.
You're correct, but you can't, the way our rules, the way I interpret them, we can't give them a permit until we have the hearing next week.
Oh,
So we can't give them I'm still confused. We can't,
Right now,
Totally illogical.
totally our rules.
Totally illogical.
Correct,
What do you think, Ron?
correct. And I did not write the rules.
I think you're hiding behind that.
Okay, I will make a motion to give them 50 acre feet, because we're not gonna do rules now.
And
But
that's how
since we
you do
have
business,
rules-
that's how you do business.
Since we have rules, I would like to follow them. And I'm very sorry that the audience doesn't like that we have to go by the rules, and I'm hiding behind the rules, but that's the rule.
You are.
Right? Unbelievable.
Can I go back?
May I make a comment?
Surely.
My understanding was, and I took notes, if we agreed to go to a contested case, we can approve a temporary permit in a reasonable amount.
We'll define temporary, define reasonable.
Temporary is until the hearing, until it's all cleared up.
Okay. So would you like to make a motion? Would you like to try this one? Because what I think we have to do
Okay.
is we have to have a hearing in the next week or two at our next board meeting, a hearing to decide if they have standing. If they have standing, then in turn, we will turn it to a contested case. But they have to have standing first to get to a contested case. At that time, we could issue a temporary permit. But right now, we can't issue a temporary permit because there is a contested, people want to contest this case.
What is meant by standing?
It means if you're directly affected by the action that the water company, and that means if you would, I mean, you know, that's also a decision for a geologist to make. If you're, 5 or 6 miles away, you have to prove that you would be affected by any drawdown, any further drawdown of his well.
Thank you.
Is it that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on what I see as a very illogical system, what you have instructed us is that we have to contest something the night of the submission of the permit.
No, ma'am. You had 5 days before. We have letters that came in 5 days before.
And the last date that something can be contested
Would be
is the
today.
night.
Yes.
However, how can you contest something that's never been permitted?
Yes.
So how can, if you actually pass a permit that to me seems reasonable, for instance, he's only using half of what he's already permitted, so 10 feet seems reasonable to me, and if that's what you pass tonight, then I'm perfectly comfortable to withdraw my contest.
Correct.
But it seems to me you're putting the cart before the horse to say we're not even going to permit anything because somebody's contested, and yet you're the one who's put the cart before the horse and told us we have to stand up and speak before we even heard this man speak.
Correct.
And that's your rule.
Correct.
They aren't our rules, they are rules that we have been here forever, Roberta. We're not really hiding behind the rules.
We are.
But the rules are illogical, and you as a board can change the rules.
That's, we want to change the rules.
That's what we're going to, but we inherited these. We haven't had to work by them until now, and now we look at them and we say, oh my gosh, what do we do here?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make one comment, and something that's extremely disturbing to me, that we're going through all of this and you're putting a lot of people in a position of having to fork out money because one member of this board is going out and soliciting people to put in 3-year permits. I think that's extremely inappropriate for any board member, yes, smile, Mr. Keys, for any board member to do that. That is not the job of this board, to go out and tell people, oh, come in and ask for more water and ask for longer. So we're getting into hullabaloo because there's misaction on this board that is extremely inappropriate.
Thank you.
And I don't know, but somewhere there's definitely an ethics issue.
You wouldn't be talking about David Baker.
Yeah, you're talking about David Baker.
No,
That's-
y'all
we're
always
talking
wanting to
about
talk
you
about
all.
David
Okay,
Baker, and
just
you're-
checking.
And David Baker's not here, and you're always wanting to put things back on the previous board. You have what you have to deal with today, and you can change things that was done by previous boards. I think it's a high possibility that if the previous boards had just given away water like you are, we wouldn't have any water to give away today.
Thank you.
If they had not been prudent and managed and conserved, there's a strong likelihood in the current drought condition, we wouldn't have any water already. So instead of you guys jumping ahead and pushing people to get more water and, you know, now he's hollering discrimination, there's no discrimination. That's fabricated. And half of this is not making sense. So to me, I see a huge problem with this stirring up the water, if you will, on things that don't need to be stirred up. We have no allocation. You don't know how much water we have. So I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am,
saying.
I understand what you said, and I take it with a grain of salt. Right up to the point, he has a 1-year permit. He's here right now because he needs a new permit. That's why. Because the previous board, if he get a 3-year permit, we wouldn't see Roger right now. But he has a 1-year. We're gonna see him every year. We have Dripping Springs Water Supply Corp. Who has no permit, but they're pumping every day. Every day.
And 3 years is in our rule. It was in our
In the
rules.
rules.
It was in our rules. We didn't change anything. I'd give him a 50-year permit if I could. If I could change it,
The
I'll make
problem
it
is,
an
we
evergreen
have
permit.
1 year, it's been working. I like seeing Roger once a year.
It seems,
Okay?
appears
It's
to work real well
It's
now.
worked for a number of years, and in the current condition that we're in, I just can't see that it makes sense to give away what we don't know we have to give away.
Thank
And I
you.
understand.
And so why can we not
Thank you.
bypass all of this political and all this potential legal stuff by saying, look, we're gonna give you a 1-year permit for what you have, we're gonna extend it for 1 year, and then come back next year and let's see, have you grown, are you using more water? Do we need to look at, okay, a 3-year permit because we're out of this drought condition? But working with what you're working with absolutely does not make sense, and there's nothing that Mr. Keys has said that's made any sense whatsoever, nothing
You
rational.
know, Ms. Rogers, this is the first board we've had since the district was founded that was actually elected by people. You may not like me in District 4, but people in District 3 like me just fine. Greg has got 62% of the vote. They love him. So this is an elected board. It was elected. It wasn't
And those are
appointed.
by people who don't know what's going on and who's.
Oh, they all know. Trust me. All of them. They all know.
Enough.
Right up
We
the
know.
What? What? Jump right in, sport.
Let's move on.
Absolutely.
What would you like to do?
I think that we should shelve all this until we do something about the rules.
Thank you.
But then he's
We
pumping without a permit.
can't, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to take this to a hearing within the next 2 weeks. At a pre-hearing conference to decide if the people that have contested the case have standing.
I'll second that.
All in favor of that? Aye. All right, we will contact each individual. If I have it right, Dorothy Knight, Jim McMeans, Lila McCall, Roberta Beal, and Andrew Backus. Anybody else I missed that wants to contest this case? They will be notified by regular mail, correct? By regular mail to let you know the time of the hearing.
One thing.
And the applicant will be notified too.
Roger, I remember the last meeting, you said you were going on vacation.